Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, May 30th, 2018. I am the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Zach, and on the panel, just one lonesome person, the Duke.
Yeah.
And hopefully we will entertain you here for the next 89 and a half minutes. And we might as well get into it right away. We started the show last week with the Celtics, and this probably will be the first time we've ever done 2 weeks in a row talking about the Celtics. But to say disappointing would be an understatement. I mean,
funny, I didn't feel that bad. I wish we could roll the tape. What was I talking about? Did I say? I think if I said the Celtics I thought they'd win, which is what I probably said. I don't think it was with a lot of confidence. LeBron, I'm just so blown away by LeBron.
Yeah.
I just wondered, is LeBron going to let his guys lose? And he didn't.
Now, when I said disappointed, when I found out Kevin Love would not be partaking in Game 7, I said, bingo, that brings it over to the Celtics. And their shooting was horrendous. I mean, when I have Marcus Smart taking all these shots,
and Terry Rozier, 0 for 10 from 3-point line? Why does he? Just that's another thing. As I think about 3-point shots, just like I was going, talking about strikeouts have really taken some of the fun of baseball out of me. Same thing with basketball. 3-point shooting's absurd. I think this might have been a horrible thing.
I love Brad Stevens. He is a genius. However, I thought the game got away from him. Who was the hot hand the other night? Our 20-year-old.
I mean, my man Jason.
Right. We should have been running plays through Tatum. He was the hot guy, and we weren't going into the paint. What I hate.
Go inside. Right. I mean, Duke does this. Duke drives me crazy at the same time. They're so into 3-point shooting, and if they're hitting, forget it. Nobody's going to ever beat them. But if they're not, take it inside, drive and stuff. Why do they keep? And especially, it just seems like on most 3-point shots, the rebound. A lot of times I don't even see any other Celtics around.
Absolutely.
You rarely get your rebound.
And what I hate it is when they get the ball up the court, first guy gets the ball, and he's not even looking. He just throws it up. And like you said, there's 3 Cavs under the basket for the rebound. Now, I just need to make this story a little bigger. Before the playoffs started, with the injuries and all that, I was saying, well, we got the Bucks. We're playing the Greek Freak, who I still cannot pronounce his name.
He's got a brother, I guess, in college. He's not. You're going to see another Greek Freak down the line.
You're better with names than I.
I can't. I'm not even.
So
it's been a while.
So
nowhere.
That was a worthy opponent. I said, boy, if we can get by Milwaukee, I'm
a worthy opponent, and an opponent that clearly could have won that series and almost did.
And that'll be fine. Well, we won. I said, okay, my season's made. Well, Philadelphia's played really well in the second half of the season. And there's always a possibility, from what I hear / read, that LeBron could end up on Philadelphia, which would be extremely scary. But Philadelphia's an up-and-coming team with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. I didn't expect to win that series. We won that series, and of course,
4-1 even.
Going
up with their one road win, unfortunately.
Going up 2-0 against Cleveland. Now, of course, you look back. We lost 4 of the last 5 games. So, and I'm disappointed just by the effort, or I shouldn't say effort. They just played poorly, shot poorly. I thought Stevens kind of let the game get out of hand. I thought some good coaching was.
Were they up? I just had the sense. I mean, they're up by 12 points in the first half. Like I said, I just never felt confident. LeBron is just so mind-blowing to me. Like I said, is LeBron really going to let an old friend, who's a former
Green.
Jeff Green had? That was a pretty nice game. Without Jeff Green having that game, Celtics probably do win.
And I remember
he used to drive us crazy.
Ago, I think
a lot of talent, athletic guy, but just so erratic. You never really count on him.
I think when we got him, was it through Oklahoma? Didn't we trade Kendrick Perkins? I think that might have been the trade.
And of course, he lost a season with his heart issue or something. He was out for a season, I think.
But I remember telling you, Duke, this Jeff Green may be the most athletic Celtic I've ever seen. He would do amazing things. He would score like 18 points in the first half, then score 4 in the second, just disappear like Casper the Ghost.
But he had a big game.
He played really well. And did I think LeBron was the best player in the league? Certainly. But
I
after
think he's the
he
best.
almost single-handedly won the series, and I've never been a big LeBron person fan, and I think it stems back to I'll be taking my talents to South Beach.
Of course, everybody hangs him. Hey, everybody makes mistakes. If that's
Right.
if that's your one beef with him,
Yeah.
he's doing pretty
Yeah.
well.
But geez, when I brought up the Michael Jordan, and of course
It's
you
unreal.
said,
Think of the minutes this guy plays.
did he play the whole? He
Yeah,
did
I
play
think
the
he- I
whole
think he
game,
played every
48
minute.
minutes, and
He's
and then
unreal.
he's 33,
33, but he's been there forever.
15 years, and he's carried every
And
ball
this is
club.
what his 8 straight finals, right? 8
Yeah,
straight.
yeah.
No, that's unreal.
Yeah. So one question I have for you, and I don't know the answer. This is the 4th straight year that the Warriors and Cavs are meeting in the final.
Yeah.
Is this good, or would it have been better to have the upstart Celtics play the Rockets in the finals just for?
Well, part of me, I go back. I made this point about the Dukies who were so close. Grayson Allen, had the ball a quarter inch away from making it to the Final Four. But I think I said on air that I had almost some mixed emotions because I think Villanova looked like such a good team. And the Dukies would have had them in the national semis.
Yeah.
Part of me said, hey, might have been a real tough game. So,
Yeah.
and I kind of feel the same about the Celtics. I mean, you never know, but.
If the Celtics made the, you know what? And I
Celtics,
didn't really
Golden
give
State.
it that much thought, but you're right. It could have hurt their psyche because
I mean,
my
Golden
guess
State's
is
funny,
against
if they
the
get hot,
Warriors.
I mean, Golden State could, when they get on a roll and stuff, they can win
Yeah.
any game. They beat Houston didn't they beat them by 40 points one game?
Yeah, and they beat them on Houston's home court the other night. Now,
6
right,
and
so
7.
now that I'm sitting here thinking,
So maybe,
if Boston was playing Golden State in the finals, I would say to you, boy, if he can get 2 victories, I would call it.
I would say if he can get 1 victory.
Yeah, so, but needless to say, the future is scary with this ball club.
It is scary, but I wanted to quickly mention, this is a story in yesterday's Globe, Gary Washburn, I think their main basketball writer. And I agree. I mean, the future looks incredibly good, but still, it doesn't hurt to have a reality check as good. I mean, talk to OKC. Weren't they going to be the team that would, I'll just read a couple. This is just the start of his column. Yesterday, Gary Washburn in the Boston Globe, no guarantees for next season. The finality is set in. Celtics aren't going to the NBA Finals. They were a few missed 3-pointers away from clinching the Eastern Conference title in Sunday's painful Game 7 against Cleveland. LeBron James and his guys trot to the finals, leaving the Celtics to ponder their poor shooting night all summer, though they will welcome back their 2 best players in Kyrie and Gordon Hayward. Wait till next year takes on a whole new meaning with 2 All-Stars added to the current roster without spending a penny. But the blown opportunity Sunday cannot be that easily overlooked, even with the assumption the next season will be brighter. Opportunities like these are rare. There is no easy path to greatness and team prosperity. Nothing can be assumed. So just to pencil in the Celtics in the NBA Finals next season is wildly presumptive. Nothing is promised.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
a hard reality.
I
mean, things look great now, but it's tough to get there.
As I mentioned,
I think the future does look incredibly good.
Philly looks like a really strong team in the future. And again, I heard or read somewhere
Well,
that
they were getting
LeBron might be considering Philadelphia.
I haven't heard much talk. I think LeBron's just getting through the finals. I've heard a little talk about that. Who knows? I'm not hearing.
Do you think LeBron is California dreaming right now?
I don't know what to say. I think he's understandably just totally concentrating on this basketball season. I guess you hear a little Philly talk. You hear a little Laker talk. Who else do you?
Yeah.
I mean, Cleveland, certainly. I think if he could find a little better supporting cast.
Yeah.
I think he loves Ohio. He's an Akron, Ohio guy. I think, in his perfect world, I kind of assume he'd love to stay there. But, geez, talk about carrying the team.
Because I'm thinking LeBron is going to sit down in his easy chair.
Hawk, we got a call.
Oh, we do. Alrighty. Good evening. You're the first caller tonight on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Hello, how we doing, guys?
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, I'm getting kind of an echo here.
Okay.
Do I sound okay?
You sound fine. So we sound a bit echoey? Yeah, you sound good.
Yeah. Well, I'll let this bounce back. I hear somewhat of an echo. But getting back to that article you just wrote, Duke, that sport writer, he was probably beginning of the season when our big guys went down, saying the Celtics won't have a chance to win anything. Now, that part you read where we had a blown opportunity, how did we blow that? We weren't even supposed to be there. Like I said before, we were riding on the house's money. You know, we didn't blow anything up. You know, we were the Cinderella team that waltzed through the season with really no big guy. We had, you know, some young kids for our backbone pulling our team through. So I have to disagree 110% with that sport writer. And as far as next year, we can only get better. If we went this far this year with, you know, a team, probably an average person couldn't name 4 players off from, we will be back and even better next year and deeper. But I, again, disagree. This was not a blown opportunity. When you play a team of that caliber with LeBron James in it, I say taking these guys to the end of the, you know, series, that was kind of a tip of a cap and a moral victory for us. 1 month ago, if we would have said, you know, we went this far, you know, almost went into the finals, I think everybody would have been excited about it. But these sport writers today, and I listen to ESPN on the radio a lot, these guys are just here. When somebody loses, they're out to destroy them. These guys on ESPN every game, well, the Celtics were lucky, but I can guarantee they won't win another one. Well, geez, they won another one, you know. So I take a lot of these people now with a grain of salt. So
I will
again,
say,
I guess my point is I don't agree with that article whatsoever,
I think
the wording he used is even worse.
I think the word blown is questionable. I hear what you're saying, Bobby, but his point about there are no guarantees. You're not going to tell me. I mean, you're going to guarantee me the Celtics are in the finals next year? There are no. Who knows if they run into more injuries? But I hear you. His word blown. I think his point was that they were there. They were there in the 7th game. However they got there, they're up by 12 and stuff. So they were so close. But yeah, I didn't like the word blown too much. But his point about no guarantees, I think is right on. There are no guarantees.
yeah.
They should be a great team next
Duke,
year.
there's no guarantee on anything in life. That's a very easy statement to make.
Well, that's all he's saying.
There's no
That's all he's
guarantee
saying.
the sun's coming up tomorrow. So
No, that's all
I
he's
give no
saying.
kudos for that statement. But again, that blown is, you know, to me that ruined his whole article. I am just tickled pink that the Celtics gave us what they did this year. You know, I was a doubter when they started going down, but you know, they blew nothing. They played, I think, over their heads, and Stevens did a very good job with them. When you're playing LeBron, that guy's a one-man wrecking crew. So, you know, hats off to these guys, and you know, I feel good next year about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wasn't beating him up. I think you're taking him a little wrong, Bobby. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. And after the series,
What blown means is something you gave up that you should have won.
Well, I mean, the fact is, though, they were up by 12 points. The fact is they were up, and you know, Kevin Love wasn't even playing. I mean, if you're up by 12 points, I mean, weren't you feeling pretty good in the first half? They don't have the Cavs' second-best player to deal with.
12 points is not a safe lead no matter what, no matter where you are in the game.
I agree, but weren't you feeling pretty good in the first half?
Well, when I watch basketball, I'm a bag of nerves. When I watch my Tar Heels, I'm a bag of nerves through the whole game. You know, I'm almost, you know, watching defensively. You know, it's funny. It's hard to put into words, but watching basketball, every time I see the opponent shoot, I almost get out of my seat. But, you know, I was feeling kind of good. But LeBron, I mean, this man can just turn things around and, you know, in no time. But I'm happy with what I saw this year. And like I said last week, it certainly gave our young players a chance to show what they already under them. And I think they'll be that much better next year. And Of course, there's no guarantees for next year. You know that. Again, that's a very easy statement.
The only downside of this, after the first round, we lose our local announcers, Mike Gorman and Tommy Heinsohn. That makes the game into an event. These guys are so good.
Well, of course, I listen to more radio than TV. You got your local guys. You got Max and Mr. Sean Grande for every game, of course.
Yeah. So, caller, a couple baseball notes. You mentioned Chris Davis last week, and the Nats played Baltimore over the weekend, and I didn't realize Chris Davis, and how much is he making? Around 25 a year?
He's got, after this year, another $100 million owed to him.
After he was hitting, give or take, 150 with 4 home runs, and this is a guy that typically hits 40 home runs. He looked dreadful, and the Nats played him and swept him. This Baltimore Oriole team is horrible, just horrible.
Very dysfunctional.
Yeah, boy, but what a nice schedule we've had this past week. 3 games with Baltimore and 3 games with the Miami Marlins. And we're 2-0 up on the Marlins with Max Scherzer pitching against a rookie tonight. So
Didn't you guys have the best month in baseball, Hawk?
Yeah.
That's May?
Yeah, we're playing really well right now. So we're a half game out of first place. So, and getting to Bryce Harper just briefly, he's now got 17 home runs, 3 above the next guy, 3 RBIs back from the lead. However, he is hitting .238. It'll be nice to see him when he does start hit, what more damage he can do. He's actually a .282 lifetime hitter. Obviously, with a third of the season behind us, he's not going to hit .282, but it'd be nice to get him up around .260, 65, somewhere around there. And the Red Sox note, before we get into Hanley, is very nice pickup last night by the Red Sox, Adam Lind.
Oh, is that right? I didn't even hear that. I heard the end of their game today when they were close to blowing it in the 9th inning.
And I'm sure the caller knows Adam Lind, but this guy's a professional hitter, not a good fielder. But he was on the Nats last year.
Who did they lop off to sign him?
He's a minor league deal because he signed with the Yankees. He had an opt-out, and he was hitting over 300 with the Scranton Ball Club. And he opted out, and the Red Sox picked him up, figuring he might get called up. But last year with the Nats, he had, a part-time player, 267 at-bats. He had 14 home runs and 59 RBIs, playing half-time. And not only that, he's a good guy, a real good team player. So, if the Sox get an injury.
Yeah, and he knows the American League East, too. He's played years with Toronto.
Right, and I'm looking at home runs with the Blue Jays, and sometimes you forget about players, but with Toronto, 3 years here, 35 home runs, 23 home runs, 26 home runs. And even prior to last season, 15 and 16 in a part-time basis, he hit 20 home runs. So a good solid veteran pickup by the Red Sox. And I'm going to say my few words about Hanley is I am so impressed by the Red Sox organization. I hate using the term team of destiny, but the Red Sox are playing unbelievable right now. They looked at the situation. They knew that they know Hanley's personality better than me, but there's no way he was going to.
Cora played with him when Hanley wasn't the most fun guy to have around. Cora literally was a teammate of him.
Yeah.
So I think this makes Cora's life a lot easier.
But you know what impressed me the most was when Dombrowski said, and this is giving Cora so much power with his players. Of course, it was
Dombrowski. Hang, if this move doesn't go well, I love Dombrowski saying,
said,
"Don't blame me."
It was Cora that suggested it. So to me, that gives the manager so much power, knowing that the president of the team is going to listen to him.
But of course, the counterpoint, if it goes bad and stuff, there's Dombrowski saying, "Don't blame me. That was Cora's idea."
Yeah. But again, I love Mitch Moreland.
Yeah, but Moreland has got such a great glove.
Yeah.
He hits better than Hanley, and he's a much better defensive player. And what the Red Sox had to look at, it's up to them, and Cora did the right thing. it's up to the coach to put the best possible players on the field. You've got to have your best team out there possible. And, he gave Hanley every chance in the world. And, Moreland, all he did was keep on hitting and keep on making great defensive plays. And, it was going to come sooner or later with Hanley because, there was no way they were going to re-sign him next year or put themselves in a position where he was having a guaranteed contract. So, I think this way early in the season, it's better for us and better for Hanley to catch on with another team as well.
And one person
we're stuck with the bill for the rest of the year, but, Hanley he'll catch on with somebody and he'll get the opportunity to play as well.
And what impressed me is the Red Sox acted. They didn't put themselves in the situation where they had to react to a possible bad situation. So, Hanley is still being paid $15 million remaining on his contract. So I'm
Whoever
sure
signs him will just have to give him what the
minimum wage
league minimum, and the Red Sox will throw $15 million.
I heard a possible landing spot would be Houston. I mean, Hanley still can
Yankees.
hit.
I wouldn't think the Yankees would need him, but he may come back to haunt the.
But good for the Red Sox. I like the way the team looks right now. They won again today, and they're
shaky ninth inning, but they did win.
But they're 2.5.
The one person that I saw who ripped us big time was Shaughnessy in the Globe. Just ripped it, saying, they've thrown this guy away, and his big point was postseason. He said these guys were a bunch of wimps last season. Hanley's been a very good postseason player. He's been a very good player against the Yankees.
Yeah.
He totally ripped it, saying, hey, you don't have as good a team now. You've thrown away a guy who at times is a very good hitter, a great postseason player. That's his line. You have a less of a good team, which I don't necessarily agree with.
The situation the Red Sox are in, of course, all winter we knew the Red Sox would make the playoffs, whether it would be winning the division where most pundits picked the Yankees. I, for the record, thought the Red Sox had a better overall pitching staff. I thought the Red Sox. However, you don't want to get into that scenario where you have to play that wild card game because you don't know if your pitcher is going to have a bad day. It happens. And even if, say, Chris Sale pitched the wild card game, there's a situation where he's not going to be available for 5 days later.
Sure. For the record, the one Chris Sale, his one start postseason last year was a horrible start. Yeah.
So I think it's imperative the Red Sox get their best guys out there and keep them in harmony. You got to realize too, being a former baseball player, you're around these guys every single day. You're playing 162 games. You want to get along. That's why they call certain guys. He's a great locker room guy.
Yeah, chemistry.
Right. You want to have them fun, get out there, and not have any controversy like they did last year. I mean, that's why John Farrell's unemployed.
Of course, David Price is still in the scene, still making his weird comments and stuff.
Yeah. So for the record,
just pitch well, David, and keep your mouth shut.
It's hard to argue Cora's moves because, as of the moment, you look at our record, it's a pretty darn good record. So
well, caller,
hard to give him any grief right now.
Any of his moves.
Right. The record means everything, but I love numbers. The Red Sox lead the American League in runs scored and only second to the Houston Astros in pitching. And of course, Houston's got a juggernaut pitching staff. So the Red Sox have done everything perfect up to this point. We're at, as I mentioned, we've played 1/3 of the season, and when you get to June 1st, you kind of know where you're at, the contenders versus the pretenders. So it's going to be a fun summer. Yankees and Red Sox are going to slug it out right till 1st of October.
Well, Yankees had a nice win last night.
Yeah, pretty much like we talked about there, preseason and before the preseason. We all discussed it there a few times. It's pretty much what we called there, the Yankees and the Red Sox battling it out, and that's how it's been. I'll tell you one thing, Houston's going to have to improve. And I mentioned it before, and they exposed themselves last night as their bullpen. I think you're going to end up seeing like a Kevin Herrera from Kansas City over there because from their 7th inning on, they're very beatable. I mean, when you have Verlander, he's hard to beat. Morton's hard to beat. The Cole is very hard to beat. They just keep going and going forever, these starters. But once you get into their bullpen, you can beat them. But, Herrera has been very, very solid this year for Kansas City. And you're going to see Kansas City by All-Star break. Half of the people will be gone off that team. So it should be interesting.
Yeah.
That piece, I think, would kind of solidify Houston's bullpen.
Yeah. And my golf buddy Joe was telling me, or somebody did, you've got Boston, New York, and Houston. Then you got the rest of the baseball. So these three teams are thinking, we're the best team in baseball, and we can win the World Series this year. So I think there will be a fair amount of moves at the trade deadline, July 31st.
Yeah.
So, and you got to strike when the iron's hot. Red Sox are healthy, and may simply come down to that. Down this stretch is staying healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Now,
always concerned.
what
Drew
happened with
Pomeranz
the
has been
Dodgers?
very shaky.
The Dodgers?
Wow, what a horrible team.
Oh, they were in the World Series, went to Game 7 last year.
They were
and
5-1 to win the World Series. I just read that the other day. Is that right? They were 5-1 odds to win the series
know.
preseason. I read
But the
that.
Dodgers, of course, I have been proclaiming Clayton Kershaw, the second coming of Christ, for years on the show.
Yeah.
And he's got the statistics like a 2.31 lifetime ERA. But now it's getting to the point of value. He's hurt again this year. And when you take arguably, it's between him and Scherzer, the best pitchers, but they've just been killed with injuries this year.
Mr. Verlander might have an issue with you about that.
Yeah, well, Verlander's having the good year, but try to find my standings.
Yeah,
here.
the Dodgers, what a horrible start so far.
Yeah, and oh boy, I've got so much paper here. I should have better organized myself.
It looks like Jackie Bradley's coming around a little bit, Duke. That we could use his bat as well.
No, you're right about that. Yeah, Jackie's showing some life mercifully in the last week or so. I didn't see the play. Did you see it sounds like he made just one of his incredible plays a couple games ago. I heard the radio guys talk about, but I didn't see it. But it sounded like and only Jackie Bradley.
No, I didn't see it neither, but I heard about it.
Yeah.
That's a good thing about that great defense. If he slumps a little bit, he'll have a lot longer leash, than most people because even if he's slumping, he's out there giving you a great, great defense. So, yeah, it's good to see him picking up hits now. And, he's a very important part of the team.
Yeah. Speaking of defense, you talked about Moreland, a great first baseman. Yeah, no, believe me, I like Moreland a lot. Last year he faded badly, but it seems to be mostly blamed on the broken toe he had for 70 games and stuff. He seems very solid, great first baseman with Pedroia back at second base. That's just the right side of their infield. That's very good defense with those two guys.
Yeah. Now, caller, the Dodgers stand.
Yeah, and I see Cora is doing a lot of platooning, and I think what he's doing this year is making sure these guys don't break down in September. So, you don't see the same lineup twice in a row with the Red Sox, and I think he's doing a very good job keeping everybody fresh because, boy, we did fade down the stretch, and, I think the whole world knew it. So I think he's, taking precautions early, so, perhaps that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
The one exception being, again, Blake Swihart, who's still getting about zero time, huh?
Yeah, there's no room for him, and the Red Sox are stuck because he has zero trade
Can't send
value.
him to Pawn
He's not a
Stars.
good defensive catcher,
Yeah,
so
I feel kind of bad for him, but
yeah.
anyway.
Well, that's what happens when you're on the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
It's if he was on the Orioles, he'd be starting.
Yeah.
Dodgers caller are 4.5 games out of first.
That's all?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
really?
mean the Colorado's in first, only 5 games. Over 500.
Huh.
And the Tribe, the Cleveland Indians, they're on a 5-game winning streak. They're 4 games over. But just 5 days ago, they're leading the division 1 game under 500.
And they won again. If you got today, they were ahead like 9-0 today. They won.
They
again
won
today.
9-1.
9-1
Today.
You got
So
that.
so when I mentioned Boston, Houston, New York, I mean, you almost have to put Cleveland Indians. They got
Yeah, I
Kluber,
agree.
one of the top pitchers,
Yep, I agree.
reigning Cy Young Award winner.
Yeah.
But let me just say, baseball is great this year. In all the divisions, you've got, the two most popular teams in baseball battling it out between the Red Sox and Yankees. Central Division, that's the only division where there's no race. Cleveland's up by 5. They won't be pushed. In the West, Houston is up, and Houston's having a great year, but Seattle's getting lost here in the fog. They're only 1 game out of first from Houston, so they're more than likely will be a wild card team. National League East, Philadelphia's in 3rd, game out. Nats are a half game out in 2nd, and the Braves are in 1st right now. In the Central, the Brewers playing like they did last year off to a really good start. They're 3.5 games up on the Cubs, and the Cubs will tighten that up. And as I mentioned, the Rockies are up a game and a half over the D-backs. So baseball is good, except for the strikeout situation, as we talked about last week. And I noted they in April, and you probably mentioned this, Duke, there were 6,656 strikeouts compared to 6,360 hits. And for May, and I copied this on Saturday, through Saturday, in the month of May, there were 5,882 strikeouts compared to 5,742 hits. And, I'll get into this a little later. There's been an attendance drop in baseball. And you mentioned to me,
boy, Tampa,
Duke,
what a joke. They're barely even getting 5 figures at times in Tampa.
well, I've got that.
In fact, maybe they're not. One of the Red Sox games had just like 10,000 plus, I think.
The
Red Sox.
Miami Marlins, and that team raped, was it Dade County?
Sure, Dade County. Miami-Dade
pretty
County.
much the whole county or the state of Florida paid for that stadium. They average 10,567 fans.
Are you serious?
And of course, I say about every other week on the show, Major League Baseball made a huge mistake putting 2 franchises. The second worst attendance is your Tampa Bay Rays, 14,062 fans per game.
Wow.
So
that's unbelievable.
yeah, it is. So and last caller, I will leave you on this note, and I'll talk football later, but I looked at the ESPN power rankings today, and they have your LA Rams 4th.
Wow.
Which really says a lot.
Rams look like a very good team.
That it's been 15 or 20 years, but yeah. Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
when
we'll talk football later.
It's a lot more promising than it used to be.
Yeah, you got Patriots, Eagles, Steelers, Rams, and Vikings as your top 5 in the power rankings. And the New York Football Giants, they're ranked 26.
Is that right? That low?
Yeah. So, okay, caller, thank you so much.
One thing
ahead.
more about these strikeouts you were talking about, more than ever. And I'm probably wrong here, but boy, I know when you get to the 7th inning on now, these guys coming out of the bullpens are all pitching between 95 and 100 miles an hour, where that never used to be. For your homework, I'd like you to break this down, like the 7th inning to the 9th inning, how many strikeouts versus the 1st through the 6th.
Yeah.
Because these guys, and if you look at the box scores a lot, you look at, down in the pitching, they'll have 2-3 pitchers, and these relief pitchers come in, and a lot of them just mow people down. So I think that may be a little bit of it. And again, I could be wrong, but.
Well, not only that, pitchers are pretty much just required to go 6 innings now. So pacing themselves are almost becoming a thing in the past, knowing that they're, if they're really good, they'll go 100 pitches. So,
good point. So they may be just going all out a little more.
Yeah. So, okay, caller, thank you.
Okay, then we'll catch you guys later, and great show.
Hey, thanks for calling. See ya.
So, Duke, I went out golfing today at 12:15, and you and I have golfed before in the heat.
Boy, pretty hot.
I was grumbling.
Couldn't have been too happy.
And I don't know.
Burlington's high temp today. Did you guess that?
Please tell me.
What do you guess?
I'm going to say 89.
Very good guess. Little high. 87.
87?
6 degrees below the day's record high.
Because I got home golfing with Joe. I had 86.5 degrees, and I played like poo-poo. And that's going to be the last time we're going to play early
Well,
afternoon.
you never. Why'd you do that?
I
You
went
wanna
to
play
the
golf?
MVU baseball game last night, and
yeah.
I typically play 9 holes Tuesday night.
Oh, okay.
And I want to get that in and get some walking in. But
good for
it
you.
was not comfortable. But yeah, because at my house, and the sun might have been beating on my thermometer.
Yeah.
I had 88 degrees, so obviously
hot day.
it's unofficial.
Yep, hot
but
day.
so
Sounds like tomorrow's another hot day, cooler for the weekend. Tomorrow sounds like the
yeah.
big.
So I just want to wrap up Celtics now. Looking for the future, Marcus Smart.
Boy, that's a big decision.
I don't know how to put a monetary value
So you're
on
not
this guy.
backing off. Early on, you said early in the season, you said forget paying this guy big buckos, and then you flipped around. Are you still prepared to pay him whatever it takes?
Remember the hotel? He supposedly punched a
No, I forgot that. actually.
picture, glass picture,
Forgot that.
and screwed up his hand. And I said, screw it, the guy can't shoot any better than me.
His shooting
but
was just you realize
remarkable
he was,
defense.
At least two of the last 4 years, he was the worst, I think, 3-point shooter
Yes.
in the NBA.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, a great player has the ability to make the players around him better.
Yeah.
Defensively, he has that. People feed off from him when he's on the court.
Is that enough? Is that enough for you?
These are the same questions
Tough
I'm
question,
asking.
yeah.
The pundits were putting out 12 to 14 a year, and he said, I'm better than a $14 million a year player. So I'm watching Boston Sports Tonight, which is a great show.
Yeah.
And they're saying to pacify him is perhaps give him a 4-year, $60 million contract.
Wow. Some pretty nice money.
Which is $15 million a year. And again, I mean, the stats show in this day and age of the three-point play was so important is he's not a shooter. So I don't know. And you have to look further ahead too, dude.
That's a tough call.
Because next year, Terry Rozier will be a free agent. Well, you can't sign everyone. And Rozier kind of disappeared late in the series.
And I think that's certainly knocked out one story. I mean, we talked about this before. So I did. I forget if you were here, but I mean, I was seeing a bunch of stories as the Celtics had their admittedly incredible postseason run. There were more than a few stories. Why do the Celtics really need Kyrie? I think maybe especially the last game, I think maybe tamped down that talk a bit.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. That's another decision on Terry.
The NBA draft is 3 weeks from tomorrow night, which will get more.
Celtics only have what, their 27th pick?
They have the 27th pick, and DeAndre Ayton out of Arizona, the Phoenix Suns. What a great place for him to play, right in Phoenix. But
I haven't even thought about it.
Marvin Bagley, who I like a lot.
Gee, is he?
He's got to learn how to play.
Go to like number 3 or so.
And they've got him 4th on this particular mock draft, going to Memphis.
Boy, if he's 4th, that's a pretty strong draft.
Oh, it's a very good draft.
I can't. Is that right? They just have him 4th?
Yeah. Bagley 6'11", and he's got the athletic ability of a 5'11" guy. I have never seen in college.
Dribbles well.
You know, he is so good.
So again, defense at this early point in his life is the sticking
right.
point. Right.
And I'm not like Jason Tatum came out of Duke last year, and that's the thing too. I want to say about Jason Tatum is 2 years ago, he was still in high school, hadn't even graduated, and here he is, the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. So it's possible. I read today that the Celtics like Mohamed Bamba, center from Texas, very much, and they have the bodies that they can.
And rebounding, if there's one issue with the Celtics, isn't it just a big body up front, a rebounder?
So Bamba and could. So there are always a lot of trades on draft night. Now,
of course, Ainge's comment was, "I like what we've got. Probably just a little tweaking, but you never know." I mean, you know, Danny.
Yeah.
If Danny, I mean, who do you keep hearing about? Mr. Towns, the big center. Is that Anthony?
Karl Anthony Towns from the Minnesota T-Wolves.
Like I'm always hearing that guy in the background.
He is good, but I heard there were some issues in Minnesota.
Right.
This guy's.
What are you going to have to give up?
I'm trying to remember who he played
See, New Orleans
Kentucky?
Pelicans?
Did he play for
in
Kentucky?
college? I think Kentucky.
Yeah, no, he plays for the Timberwolves. And
Timberwolves.
He is.
Who am I thinking of on the Pelicans have a
That's
very good center.
the brow. He's got one eyebrow. Oh.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But another very good center, right?
And of course, Boogie Cousins, DeMarcus Cousins is a free agent. But again, Celtics are paying a lot of money, max contracts to Irving, to Gordon Hayward. So there's not much pocket change left.
So the early line in the starting lineup next season would be Gordon Hayward, Kyrie, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Al Horford, I guess. Is that the logical starting five anyway?
But part of me would like to, as long as he gets his 32 minutes, is put Tatum on the second unit. And then that way he's your designated shooter. He could be the assassin on the team. Now, we've talked over the last 6 months, Grayson Allen.
Yeah, what are they? He's still first round?
Every mock draft.
Shaky first round. He goes
I've
lower?
looked at. They've got him going 41st overall, 11th pick in the second round.
Really?
And the other Dookie, where the heck is? On
their
this
other
particular,
big guy looks
Trevon
like
Duval is dropped down to 52.
Really?
And they've got Gary Trent at 32. So these guys were all in the top 20.
Wow.
And
their other big guy is still hanging up there, whose name even probably escapes me right now. They have another big guy who is, a big forward guy, Mr. Carter, Wendell Carter.
Oh, Wendell Carter's a man. They've got him going 8th to Cleveland, which
I think there might be some folks who maybe even like him more than Bagley.
Wendell Carter.
Boy, is that right?
And again,
wow, Cleveland.
And
that might make LeBron feel a little better about hanging around.
I think Wendell Carter is going to be
looks very good
all-round. He's built like a man to start with. Because I watched Duke a number of times this year, not because I like college big-time basketball, but I knew they had two bona fide top 5 type players in Carter. And
but Hawk, I'll acknowledge, we talk, you kind of beat me up about it, which I'm used to and stuff, just a one-and-done situation. But I would say it, yeah, if Coach K's here, I'm saying, geez, Coach K, another great team and stuff. You got, the top 4 guys coming in next year, but does part of you think you might, it might be nicer to maybe try to mix in a few more second-tier guys who might hang around for a while? Yeah. I will say this last Duke team, great team. They were just, came so close to the Final Four.
Absolutely.
But that's probably I'm trying to remember the names of these guys. Of the many years I've been, watching my Blue Devils and stuff, I just felt this is a team I probably knew as poorly as any team.
Now,
for whatever reason.
Duke is going to get all the blue chip high school players, and athletically, they will be able to play offense without any real coaching.
Yeah.
Where Coach K, defense has to be coached. These kids have been so good since they were 6 years old. Yeah. They were offense for everywhere.
Last season, incredibly, Coach K conceded defeat on that.
Exactly.
Hey, forget it, we're playing zone.
Yeah.
And a great move and stuff because they were getting killed.
Well, when Jason Tatum came to the Celtics, good offensive player, lazy on defense, and I didn't pound on him because typically that is the scattering report on the top players.
But it looked like he
did.
It looked like he had a decent season.
He put an effort into it. Yeah. Even Kyrie Irving, who was one of the very worst defenders in basketball, lazy is what I call it. He put a little effort into it, and Stevens likes defense.
Of course, Kyrie got a bunch of grief for not being on the bench for the 7th game.
We found out what it was.
I know, but doesn't that timing seem a little funny? Was that the only time they could have had surgery?
I had not given that much thought.
What about that? Doesn't that seem absurd that he's not there?
Yeah.
He got some serious grief for that, which I thought was, not crazy grief.
Yeah. So, and speaking of grief, thank you for the segue here very much. I'll get into football. Tom Brady, okay. I'm telling you, I said earlier, the Patriots are the #1 ranked power team going into the season. They were in the Super Bowl last year, and I would have bet you any amount of money you wanted with 2.5 minutes to go when Brady got the ball. Eagles got 1 sack, and unfortunately that was the one where he was blindsided and fumbled.
Yeah.
Okay. It has been an off season of just ripping the Patriots apart. And
who was the last? It's funny. I heard the teaser headline maybe a day or two ago. Just driving over today, I just heard the guy's name. Cassius Marsh.
He's on the 49ers.
God, now he was certainly a Celtic for. I mean, what was he on?
A
for
Patriot. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think I got Celtics on my. For what, 9 guys? I didn't even remember the guy's name. But I'm hearing, another ex-Patriot is ripping Belichick. Geez, wow, big deal. Cassius Marsh, he was a real long-term Patriot.
But you know what, Duke? You hear that quietly
it's
from
happening.
players that this is not a fun team to
And when
play
I hear
for.
that from the folks of like Danny Amendola, that means something to me.
Yeah.
Cassius Marsh means nothing.
However, okay, I would not probably go out for a beer with Bill Belichick. He's boorish to me.
Although
however,
if you get him past that, I mean, his
Unless I get him
knowledge of
drunk.
football. No, but every once in a while, even with the regular Patriots guy, every once in a while he'll get off on a tangent and be a fun guy. But you're right. Usually,
but
horrible.
he has extreme tight rein on this Patriot. He's got the most power than anybody in all of NFL.
Yeah.
Okay, he's got a resume. You've got to realize when you get to the Patriots, it is the Patriot way, or it's going to be the highway.
Presumably, most people.
Now,
have a
Amendola is
sense of
going
that.
down to Miami,
right?
and I always thought he was a good second-tier receiver. Well, have a good time playing for the Dolphins with Ryan Tannehill, and have a good time. At best, a 7-9 record.
Right.
Okay.
And enjoy your time, all the days on South Beach and stuff. I mean, But you got to think most people realize what they're getting into. And again, the point's been made. And again, you are hearing some criticism. I mean, the riff, Belichick, Brady and stuff. But hey, even if I'm sure there's something to a lot of that stuff. But gee, I mean, I'm a Patriot guy. What am I going to complain about this? And the folks who say Belichick doesn't let the assistants talk to the media and stuff, and all this is finally catching up to him. That may be, entirely accurate. But after like a 18-year run, that sounds like a pretty small price to pay for an unbelievable run.
As far as assistants talk to the media, that's kind of the norm. It might happen once, twice a year, and I can tell you they're schooled before they go to meet the media.
And of course, the players. I mean, most of them, will talk and stuff, and are just very careful, which I appreciate, to never say anything stupid. That's fine with me.
Now, the OTAs are going on right now. Tom Brady is absent. Last we heard, he was in Monaco, and he is coming off somewhat diva-like this offseason. But you know what? That's fine.
Rodney, I just read today Rodney Harrison, some long quotes from Rodney, who I love. I love hearing him on radio, former Patriot and stuff. Rodney said, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. Don't anybody giving him grief about that is being stupid. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. Should he be with his team?
I mean, maybe it's the first time he's done
maybe,
it.
but it gets to a certain point of how many years has he been playing? He's played at least 15 years, right?
Yeah, I think at least 15.
He doesn't need, he's the smartest guy in football. Does he have the strongest arm in football? Absolutely not.
And if that's showing
But
and he's putting it to Belichick a little bit, fine. If you're going to do it, probably a good time to do it.
But there's nobody smarter in football with the 3.5 seconds he has to get rid of that ball.
No, I think that's an issue getting a fair amount of attention. That's not a big issue.
And again, I use the word bore. That's so boorish in Boston sports tonight. And again, great show. I watched the best of. They condensed it to an hour at midnight. But they talk Patriots all the time. And
probably my biggest concern, I would have been happier had they drafted at least someone who looked like one of the second tier, like the guy your guys got. I mentioned that.
Duke, I'm shocked. Kyle Laletta, thank you, out of Richmond Spiders.
That's the guy, and they could have done that. I'm a little upset they didn't draft.
I had him third round going to the Patriots. I thought it was a perfect fit.
Yep.
And he was sitting there for the Giants, and not that they wanted to draft a quarterback. They committed to Eli Manning, and they still want to look at their fourth-round pick, Davis Webb, out of Cal from last year, who, practiced whatever, looked fine. Well, Laletta was sitting there, and they said, well, we can't let this kid go. Will he ever be a starter for the Giants? I don't know, but in the fourth round, he'd take a flyer.
That's my one pretty big beef with the Patriots. They better pray. Forget Brady not being at the OTAs. Who cares?
But you know
they
what,
better
Duke?
pray he stays healthy and hangs around.
But
for
if
a
Brady
while.
gets hurt or just at the end of the season, I'm through. I mean, you guys have been spoiled, to say the least.
But I mean, say he gets hurt early if he gets hurt early in the season.
So you get Joe Blow out of Idaho State as your quarterback next year, and you go 3-13. Big deal. Okay, then you have a top 5 pick. Then you say, okay, now we're going to draft our quarterback for the future.
I just think it wasn't. There should have been. Should have been more forward-looking strategy there.
But the thing is, of course, you're going to hear it more this fall if Garoppolo gets off to a great start with the Niners. Oh, Patriots made a mistake.
Well, like I said,
but
I talked about that.
What do you do? Tom Brady was the MVP of the league. Right. What do you get rid of an MVP?
I'm tired. I've mentioned that a ton of times. You're criticizing. They're supposed to keep Garoppolo on the bench for $20 million.
Exactly.
They're not going to do that.
Exactly.
Should they have gotten more than they got for him? Yeah, perhaps.
When the Patriots were a legitimate, not a Super Bowl contender, but a winner every year, you have to coach that team 1 year at a time. And the Patriots did the right thing. Now, Garoppolo may turn into Superman. However, he's not as good as Brady, and you ride the Brady horse until he breaks down.
Unless you're going to say, hey, Tom, thanks, it's been fun, good job, see ya, which Kraft sure as heck wasn't going to do. I don't think Belichick here maybe slightly more mixed things. I mean, I think he saw Jimmy G as Brady's successor, which would have been nice, but Brady just happened to hang around a while, and it still seems to be, when I last checked, was still playing pretty well.
Yeah.
What, 505 yards in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Would have thought he might have won
Absolutely.
that game.
And speaking of the Super Bowl,
had the defense done anything that game,
that
that game's still blowing a gun. Kudos to my buddy Darren and the Eagles. They deserve to win the game, but geez, what a Patriots defense, what a pathetic effort.
Listen, I'm a huge
Nick Foles shows, comes out and plays like Superman.
Yeah, Nick Foles, I was going to say, I'm a huge Carson Wentz fan. He was drafted a couple years ago. Top pick, Jared Goff from the Rams, second pick. Yeah. Well, Wentz is built like a man. He's an old school football player. I think this guy is going to be great. However, he might put the stats up over the next dozen years. He may not have the Super Bowl ring that Nick Foles just won. Yeah. So you don't know. So yeah, let Brady do what Brady does, and I have the same exact feeling with Eli Manning. Eli Manning deserves to go out on his own. Yeah. Just say, I'm ready to leave. You can put Webb or Lalletta in there, whatever. But I think Eli Manning with a good offensive line right now, I'm hoping it's just an average line, which will be good enough compared to what we've had.
So the rankings, the Giants had low. Is that unfair ranking, or is that
coming off a 3-13 season?
Year, that's what you get.
I think whoever did this power grid here is probably from Missouri. Show me Giants. And of course, Saquon Barkley, the second overall pick, and everything you read is this guy's not just going to be a good running back, but he's going to be a Hall of Fame running back. Yeah. I have reservations about drafting running backs that high, but you look at Todd Gurley from the Rams. I would have given my MVP vote to him. I know Brady is great, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And running backs don't get the accord that quarterbacks
he probably would have been a legit choice.
Todd Gurley carried the Rams, and he gave Goff the opportunity to somewhat blossom because all the pressure was not on Goff. And now that Manning's 37, 38 years of age, supposedly or hopefully, Barkley is going to take some of the heat off Manning. And
sounds reasonable.
Let's get a ground game. And again, I'm just going to kin this to the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. Is Dak Prescott a great quarterback for the Cowboys?
Probably not.
Don't think so.
But good, probably good enough
when
to
you have,
win a lot of games.
The running back, Elliott, was a big, tough kid. And, of course, he got suspended last year, and that's how the Cowboys went down.
No, I would think that would make Eli, if this guy is, and sounds like he's absolutely as good as they say, I would think that would make Eli's life noticeably easier and better.
And for the record, Duke, we're 99 days away from the start of football season.
From games? Sorry,
from games. The first regular season game. Wow. Yeah. So, but I don't want to wish my summer away. Speaking of which, after golf, I went down the lake. I almost jumped in your kayak and went out for a ride, but I didn't really have enough time.
I actually thought about it yesterday. My legs still got me a little. It crossed my mind. I went down to Kilcare yesterday, and kayak crossed my mind. Didn't quite do it one of these days. Yeah. Lake is still just dipped under 98 feet, but still relatively high.
you know,
it's pretty chilly.
I am
so.
going to give kudos to the month of May. I thought we had a pretty nice weather.
I love May. I hate to lose May.
Yeah.
I tell you, I was being eaten by mosquitoes last night. They closed the gate at Kilcare at 8:20 now. So I went out, parked by the gate, because it was full moon last night. And I had to hang in for about another half hour, which was fine. I would have hung in a lot longer. Mosquitoes were all over me, but I did wait until the full moon popped up. Beautiful full moon.
So I have a question, and I'll just get off sports for a couple minutes here. And I haven't seen much of you at all for about the last month and a half. I'm confused, and straighten me out. You are the host of the Channel 16 TV show on every Wednesday, 5 o'clock, first Wednesday of the month.
You
St.
said
Albans
everyone,
today.
the first Wednesday.
First Wednesday of the month. So you'll be doing that show next Wednesday.
Next
at
week,
5.
folks.
Okay.
Again, live show. St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith, I believe, will be with us, and Bill Nyan will get the invite from.
You
St.
know, I
Albans
watch
staff.
that show. It's probably my favorite show of public access. I don't watch it live. I will record it and watch it later.
Yeah.
However, before Bill Nyan took over as head selectman or whatever you call it,
Select Board Chairman.
the previous chair, boy, I don't get to
Bruce Cheeseman.
Bruce.
Now the vice chair.
Right. When it came to the water/sewer issue,
Yeah, which
Bruce,
I always bring up.
every month saying we're close, and even you challenged a couple times, like, okay, come on, give me a time frame here. Okay, now, and I had like 4 weeks of newspapers to catch up on, being on vacation. I didn't really read it that closely. What has happened here, transpired in the last month or 2 months?
This issue is just, it was going on forever. I mean, I pay some attention to it. That supposedly close agreement, of course, didn't happen.
Right.
They've been back in court anyway, but it didn't happen. The town, I guess, wasn't happy with the city's proposal. I mean, sorry, I'm giving you a wicked short version.
Right.
I'm tired of the issue.
But
It's
Bruce
been going
would
on
always
forever.
say, we're close.
Well,
Then
in
when
fact,
you have
I'll give you a
Dominic,
more specific comment. It was probably one of the last shows last year. Yeah, I do press him.
Right.
And I think he even threw out 95% optimistic, and obviously, I'll believe it. I'll believe it when I see it.
Right, and the body language, you'd have Dominic Cloud on it, and to say he was stoic.
Yeah, Dominic certainly
when
wouldn't.
Cheeseman was saying that, and I'll say that Dominic was more like a statue, that I could tell he's going to himself, no, we're not even close.
Yeah, well, again, it's kind of the city's proposal. I mean, the city's, they're the folks who own the water sewer infrastructure and stuff. So, but I can only assume Bruce Cheeseman really felt like they were very close. I mean, I don't know why he would say that if he didn't think that, but it didn't happen. Is all I can tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll bring it up. I'm so tired of the issue.
I know, because I know you have to bring it up every month on the show.
I'll bring it up next Wednesday night. You can be sure of that.
Yeah.
But for the record, I do make the point, though. Again, can't the city and town get together on this? Seems to be the one issue. For the record, they seem to be doing very well on other issues. I mean, police, sounds like the town is entirely satisfied, at least the select board folks, with city PD coverage in the town. Recreation, they've gotten together very well. The public works departments, Allen Robtoy in the city, Alan Mashtair in the town. These guys work together well. They do some common sense things when it comes to, some city-town things. So for the record, the city and town in general do pretty well. The water sewer thing is just...
Yeah, and I agree. That's a very tired story. So just want to touch golf briefly. The Memorial in Dublin, Ohio. That's Jack Nicklaus.
That's Jack's baby.
So the big boys show up for Jack's
In
tournament.
fact, is that, boy, hockey, you're ahead of me. Is that what we've got coming up? That's Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm a little embarrassed to say it. I didn't even know that. Yeah, that's Jack's baby.
Because
Dublin,
I know
Ohio.
Peyton Manning was playing with Tiger in the Pro-Am part
Oh, is that
of
right?
the tournament.
See, as I was scanning my email headlines today, there was a Tiger one that I meant to punch up that I didn't get around to. But Tiger's playing, I assume.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Boy.
Justin Rose coming off a very impressive tourney at the Colonial in Fort Worth. That's the oldest, same site for it's the oldest site on the PGA, the same site for, I think, since 1946.
Wow.
But Justin Rose, a very good golf. Of course, when Sergio finally won the Masters 2 years ago, It was the playoff against Justin Rose. Justin almost won his second major then. One of the top, easily top 5 golfer. I didn't watch much
For
of
an
it.
old guy, you have a pretty good memory.
Well, thanks. I'm an old guy, no doubt about that. My memory is really incredibly erratic. Talking about strikeouts, I'm just flashing back. Again, don't ask me what I did yesterday, but I can go back to a specific at-bat hawk, age 10 or 11, playing for Hingham Lumber against the Wheels. I think it was a lefty
Hingham
pitcher.
Lumber was your
Hingham Lumber
sponsor
company.
team?
Yeah, Jim Gilbert, the great manager coach. But I can remember a specific at-bat, just on the strikeout thing. It was a wicked, tough lefty. I can remember an at-bat that I knew I wasn't going to get a hit, but I wasn't going to strike out. I think I weakly grounded out to the infield, but it was so in my mind. I swear, I can remember the at-bat. I'm not going to strike out. I didn't. The guy got me out, but anyway.
Yeah.
A very erratic memory.
Yeah. Again, different times where people would look down on you for striking out.
Yeah.
At least get the bat on the ball and see what happens. But I'm trying to find out the reason. I have watched less golf this year than any
So
year.
what
I
about,
don't know why.
Yeah. What about Masters?
I do watch the Masters just because, and the U.S. Open.
Because you were here, I was gone.
You were
down
gone.
south.
Your southern trip. But
Did you catch any? Did you watch any of my turn? Did you watch any Heritage? Not any.
no, because I'll be honest, and I feel bad for that tournament. Is I'm kind of so many hours invested in the Masters. I'm kind of golfed out, viewing wise.
Beautiful course. It's such a nice course.
But what, 2 weeks we'll be talking. It's
we got
in
the
Long
Open.
Island.
The
U.S. Open.
Yeah, Long Island.
Who won it last year?
Shinnecock? Bruce Koepka, who came in second to Justin Rose at the Colonial. Fair question.
Yeah.
Fair question. Yeah, that should be it's a good test. It's a fun course out on the island. Speaking of which, I'm thinking of our friend Mr. Handy. I had a Mr. Handy sighting at Pie in the Sky yesterday, eating with my kid and his mother, and Mr. Handy and his fellow guys were there playing a serious card game. I tried to engage Mr. Handy in conversation, and he was pretty much too busy. But he said he missed us. He said,
I missed Dave.
I think about calling you guys, but golf a lot of times doesn't end till about 8 or so.
It's right, because if you remember during the summer, David would show up at 8:05.
But I told him, hey, there'll probably be a rainy day at some point. I said, if there's a rainy day, I trust we'll see. He said, yeah, you'll see me.
Yeah. So, and one of the biggest sporting stories, if not the year, in the history of sports, the NHL Stanley Cup Finals going on.
Are you paying no attention to that?
Duke.
I'm paying some attention.
I'll watch the highlights. I really should be watching this because
Vegas,
this is history.
What a story.
Okay.
Vegas, I mean, what a story.
Okay, 11 months ago, there was not one Vegas Black Knight out there. I mean, they had not had their expansion draft at that point. What is occurring might have, even up to this point right now, this story is complete. But if Vegas goes on to win
And they're up
against
1-0
Washington
going into tonight.
And they're on
half an hour or so.
Yeah. This is an incredible story that I can't come up with the words.
For someone, there are kind of two ways you can look at it. I didn't think of the site. I think it's a great story, but I forget. Maybe someone who called the show on the set said, "Well, it may not make the NHL look very good if an expansion team is making it to the finals and stuff." I don't think of it that way. I think it's a cool story.
You know, and being a Montreal Canadiens fan, I look at this, and here's an expansion team, and they're a lot looser with the expansion rules now than they have in the past,
basically they had one. Each team had to throw out one player they could pick from, right?
And I don't remember the exact, but let me just show you.
Was it one player or three players?
Two. I think it was two. But let me show you the type of move Vegas made.
Yeah, they got a pretty good goalie.
Florida Panthers had a player by the name of Riley Smith, who used to play for Boston.
I was going to say,
he had a big contract.
Like he's been playing great. He was a former Bruin.
Florida did not want to be saddled with that.
So he was most recently on Florida.
Panthers, but they also had another player. In order to entice Vegas to take Smith's contract, they said, if you take him, we'll give you this player. And help me with the pronunciation, Marchessault or whatever. He's one of the top players.
Probably Marchessault.
And he scored like 31 goals last year, and he was probably close to. I mean, they made shrewd deals like that. But, I was going to say, being a Canadiens fan, the most storied team in hockey history.
Yeah.
And we struggled the whole season. And if you have this upstart team, it just
Couldn't have made you feel
it's
so
not,
good.
I had not given that any thought that it doesn't give the NHL probably the best.
I hadn't thought about it that way either, but I still think it's a great, great story.
And the trivia question, which is not a fair question, and Joe and I were talking about this on the course today, was there was one other expansion team.
St. Louis Blues,
Right.
of course, when everybody in the West was an expansion team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Back in 1967, the NHL jumped from the original 6 up to 12 teams. Well, all
they
6
threw
new
all 6.
franchises, they just made a Western division.
Yeah.
And St. Louis, if you remember, made the Stanley Cup Finals the first 3 years. With,
Of course, the Bruins, Bobby Orr, one of the most iconic, one of the most famous pictures in sports, scoring the goal and then going horizontal in front of the net again, winning against the St.
The
Louis
head
Blues.
coach of the St. Louis Blues was one William Scotty Bowman.
I was going to say, I was thinking it was Scotty.
And the Canadians played them the first 2 years, 68 Cup, 69 Cup, and swept them both times, which, and again, they were an expansion team. And the Bruins played them 1970 and also
Beat 'em
swept
in
them.
70.
And I think it was Barclay Plager that
I
hooked
remember that name.
Bobby
is that
Orr.
right? After he scored the goal.
And I mean, Bobby Orr, as we've
great-
talked,
great
probably the
photo.
greatest player in the history of hockey, and almost Superman-like.
Yeah.
So
Well, for the record, I'm paying. I mean, Stanley Cup. And I know you like Stanley Cup. I know you're a busy guy, but I'm paying more attention than usual this year.
Yeah.
And as soon as I leave here, I got to go retrieve a couple of people at BTV, the airport. But of course, I got that game on radio.
Yeah.
And as I say, I listen to way more stuff on radio than TV.
the only excuse I have
I've heard
to,
a lot of hockey on radio, and it's great.
yeah, it's not like I dislike the playoffs, but and I know I'm telling the truth. I watch every single game of every team I have.
Of your teams.
Right. I watch, unless I'm away on vacation, I watch I record them, watch them later at night. Every Celtic game, I buy the baseball package for $179.95 so I can watch every Nats game.
So you can get every baseball
every
game,
baseball
any
game out there.
Wow.
Yeah, I can watch. And the Canadians, I buy the center ice package. I think, and that's my drug. $149. In the big picture of things, it'd be nicer to be a Bruins fan and get it free off Nesson. But that's what I like to do.
Do what you gotta do.
I don't do drugs. I drink very little and all that. So, but by the time it gets to the playoffs and my team is knocked out, I've pretty much exhausted myself of watching that.
How was this for good luck? It was either the Bruins. I'm a little embarrassed. I'm trying to think if it was the Bruins radio play-by-play guy or their TV guy, but whoever, one of their key announcers went to Vegas. Just thought, it's a new team and stuff. I think it'd be fun. So, is it Mr. Goucher? I'm spacing out on the name, and I'm spacing out whether it's radio or their radio or TV guy. But they're one of their two key guys went to Vegas. How's that for timing? And lucks into an incredible season.
That does look like a fun arena. I mean, let's face it, these Vegas fans
I
probably don't know
a little
all
bit
that
of the
much.
pregame the other night on TV. And they did it. They did it a big time. And it's Vegas.
Yeah.
And of course, they'll have a football team. And are we talking a couple years? Are they building that stadium now?
The Oakland Raiders are moving to Vegas.
Right. Are they building the stadium now? Do you know?
That's a good question.
I think we're talking a couple, maybe 3 years. But hey, Vegas, good. Hey, good for those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they've sent. I mean,
Well, you've
what a
been
year
to
for the
Vegas
hockey.
before.
Sure.
But the
What a
thing
scene.
too,
I've
right,
been to Vegas about probably 4 or 5
from
times.
the real Vegas people will say, forget the Strip. There's a lot more to Vegas. This is a big time city.
No, sure.
Forget the Strip. This is a legitimate.
Death Valley. I mean, one of my favorite places in my former life, where we ended our honeymoon, in fact, with Ms. Lauren, who I talked to the other night. I haven't talked to her in a long time. Anyway, Death Valley is like a couple hours
Just
away. I
piqued my
love Death
curiosity.
Valley.
What
Former
piqued
wife's
your
still over in.
reason?
She actually called me. She was talking to one of her folks who said, "Wonder how Richard's doing. I bet he's watching the Red Sox game now," which I was, and she was actually listening to the Red Sox on radio. Checked in from her usual hunt in Essex, New York.
Okay.
You remember that beautiful Hamlet
and not to
well.
bring up your past, but when you did get married to the lovely Miss Lauren, he had a big
I
shrimp.
think we brought some serious shrimp over for
mean,
the festivities.
pounds and pounds and pounds of shrimp.
Well, so
Well,
you got
I
your fill of
moseyed
shrimp,
over
right?
there, and I spent about my first half hour
Yeah,
just eating
I
shrimp.
hear you. I've got shrimp in my house pretty much all the time.
Yeah. So
Anyway.
some tidbits I want to go over.
Of course, French Open, Hawk. I know you're all over the French Open.
I did
So you got to be a little impressed. Rafael Nadal won yesterday. I'm not sure he played again today. Probably a day off. But his first round match won. One set might have been a tie break, but straight sets. Guess what that brought his record at Roland Garros to? How about 80 wins and 2 losses?
Wow.
Not bad.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
Guy's
So
unbelievable
I saw
on
Serena
play.
Williams in like
Serena's back.
black rubber or whatever she was wearing.
I've seen her
but
wearing stuff like that.
Is there a
before.
reason why she's not ranked?
Yeah, just because she hasn't been playing. She had her kid. She had her first kid in September, so just wasn't playing for months and months. So yeah, reason is she just wasn't
So
playing.
that just drops.
And I guess French Open, they didn't even seed her just because she had played so little. I think maybe some other majors would have
Okay.
taken her history maybe into consideration, but just because she hasn't been playing.
Yeah. And again, I'm
She
going
won her first round match.
I'll do a bunch of tidbits here.
Jeannie, just one other women's tennis note. I looked specifically at all the women who played first round matches.
Jeannie Bouchard.
I didn't even see her name. I think she's probably didn't even play.
Boy,
When we last left her, she was so kind of disillusioned. She was even talking about dropping down to like maybe some satellite tourneys.
I didn't hear that.
To try to
but
win her confidence back.
She, 3-4 years ago, she was the
Yeah,
eighth
she was-
ranked player in the world out of suburb of Montreal, and she was all of like 21, and we both agreed this girl is going places, cute as a button, and she
you
was going
never
to
know.
make millions and millions of dollars, and she's a whiner. She cries, and
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe she can get it together,
Yeah.
but no, a precipitous drop. Yeah,
But
one of those weird stories.
I did know when it comes to rankings, Tiger, like a year ago, was ranked 652nd.
Yeah, she's up to
and
like
he's-
200-300 or something.
He's up to 83rd.
Is he really?
Which
Top
is
100?
nice jump.
That's a good job.
So I do want to do a baseball note here. The Washington Nationals, they lead the league in
congrats.
pitching. And with all the injuries they have,
Yeah.
but listen to this for starting staff, Duke, for ERA. Their overall team pitching is 3.30, which leads the National League. Gio Gonzalez, okay, ERA 2.10.
Wow.
Max Scherzer, 2.13.
Wow.
Steven Strasburg, I'm sorry, I missed one. Jeremy Hellickson, 2.30.
Wow.
Steven Strasburg, who got beat up early in the season, but he's at 3.13. And the worst is Tanner Roark with a 3.17.
What did you say the team ERA was?
3.30.
Why-
There's-
why-
the
relief
starters'
relief
ERA
pitching's
is under
been
3.
pretty
Yeah.
bad, I assume.
The first month of the season or so, their
Relief pitching.
pitching was 5.06,
Wow, okay.
and the second month here they're at 3.06.
Wow, that's unreal.
You know, this has been and like
Unreal.
I think I mentioned last week,
But
we won the division.
Unfortunately for you, Hawk, the regular season, not irrelevant, but God, the pressure. Hey, great regular season, Nats. What have you done for us?
Oh, absolutely.
Postseason. Talk about the pressure on those guys. If they have a 100+ win season, boy, I don't envy the pressure on them in their first round.
You know, I always give a team a flyer first time they make the playoffs,
Yeah.
learning experience, a deer in headlights, et cetera, et cetera. But I think all 4 playoff series they've been in, 4 of the last 6 years, first round, is they lost in Game 5 every single game.
Yeah.
And I remember one year, I think it was against St. Louis, I think they were up 3 runs going in the 9th inning. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is great. And Drew Storen, remember him? He came in and just got rattled.
Wow.
So,
Wow, but no, your guys are going great right now. Speaking of starting pitching, I mean, the Red Sox, easy to be, I guess I should be ecstatic. I'm very happy they've gotten off, what, best record in baseball? Well, the Nats' best record in baseball?
oh, no.
Red Sox.
It's
are,
the
right?
Red Sox.
But still, when I look at starting pitching, I'm still not totally sold on these guys. Chris Sale got killed last game, but I'm not. I'm totally sold on Chris Sale. I love watching him. He pitches so quickly. Love Chris Sale. But geez, after that, Rick Porcello, as I figured, kind of a bounce back year. He seems to be going every other year. He's been pitching well. Eduardo Rodriguez, I guess won today. In fact, good game today, 6-1. I should be totally satisfied. David Price, geez.
He's 4.04.
But how? I think he's such a horrible fit for Boston. I just don't. Game to game, his famous comment, he has his comment after his last win. I guess he was being, so he caught the line,
I'm
caught a liner
soft?
in his chest, but said, hey, I'm the softest guy around. I guess he was being sarcastic, but still, he just seems like to me he's not happy being in Boston. And Drew Pomerantz, after his amazing season last year, 17 wins, has been horrible. And the relief pitching, even today, geez, they were trying not to use Kimbrel. They got, I think, 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th to go up 6-2 against Toronto. Of course, when I check in, Hawk, I know you wonder, Duke, why don't you tape stuff so you can watch the whole game? And Bobby made the point about how nervous he gets watching his Tar Heels. I totally understand that point. Maybe it's an aging thing. As I get older, it's harder for me to even watch these games that mean a lot to me. But I feel like I'm such a jinx. I check in a day on radio, drive me over from Enosburg. What do I hear? Brian Johnson comes in. They will say, we don't need Kimbrel. 4-run lead, gives up 2 quick hits. They bring Kimbrel in, who gives up a couple of hits. Got back to 6-4, second and third, nobody out. I'm totally freaking out. Then Kimbrel got 3 straight outs, but I'm bitter they had to use him today. But their relief pitching, Joe Kelly's been unreal. He's been their best pitcher. But the other guys have been okay. But you know, I don't mean to complain, but I'm just not totally sold on their pitching.
The Red Sox bullpen had the second best ERA in the American League.
Yeah, well, Kelly and Kimbrel, but again, I'm always concerned
so
about
when
my
you throw
guys,
numbers
but I'm not totally sold.
It's important to let you know what the average is. The average ERA in the American League is 4.21.
Is that right?
In the National League, it's 3.95. Now, for batting average, Duke, American League is 248.
Really?
So if you hit 248, I would say, Duke, you're an average hitter. That to me, when you hear 248, it's like
and National League is a little
243.
Almost, of course, American League with a designated hitter, which for the record I hate. Maybe I'm the only American League fan who would much rather not have the designated hitter.
Yeah, so.
Interesting.
But getting J.D. Martinez, I mean, you don't
again, for the record, as I've acknowledged before, I said don't get him and stuff. I'm embarrassed about the money enough already. Hey, I'm glad they didn't listen to me.
Yeah.
The guy does sound like a great guy.
Yeah, the Red Sox are like $30 million over the cap. However, I'm sure their plan is now, with Hanley not on the payroll next year, that'll knock $22 million off. And if they make a trade or whatever, they can get back into the salary cap.
Martinez says, I guess he probably hit his 18th homer today.
Yeah. So Martinez, the problem with the Red Sox, like Betts and Martinez at this point may fight each other for the MVP of the league.
Hope it happens.
And I agree. Who cares about the hardware?
Betts has been out. Was off again today with left side tightness or something. Didn't sound serious.
Yeah. Martinez, Duke, is 18 home runs.
Yeah.
Tied.
Leads the league with 47 RBIs, I think.
Leads the league with 47 RBIs.
And hitting 350 or something.
And
I think
batting
he's
average.
pretty high.
He's not in the top 5.
Not,
Mookie leads with 359. So
he's certainly 3 something, but no, he's been great.
Yeah.
And he's not looks like he's an average. I've seen him make some good plays in the outfield, and I've seen him kind of not make a play or two he should have made, but it sounds like he's an average outfielder.
Yeah.
So
of course,
JBJ is a guy who, as Bobby said, he's definitely come back in the last week, but boy, his hitting, again, geez, if he gives me 220 or something, but under the Mendoza line's a little concerning.
You've heard like possible trading of JBJ, but you're just getting nothing back with a 200.
And I told you, I'm surprised they didn't have to trade him to get Chris Sale, which I would have traded him in a second to get Chris Sale.
Yeah.
But he's such a good defensive player. I like the guy. His hitting is a concern.
Yeah. So ERA in the American League, Justin Verlander, 1.11.
Yeah.
And again, we're third into the season.
The Red Sox are on. They're flying to Houston as we speak, I assume.
The
Red Sox will get Verlander Saturday in Houston. I think Verlander pitch Monday.
Yeah, that'll be a great series. And Corey Kluber, who won the Cy Young last year.
Another win today, right? He won today.
Did he win? That's right.
I think so.
Cleveland won. He's down at 2.02. Kluber's great. He really is.
Again, Sale just had one of those stinker games that I guess everybody gets once in a while. His last start.
And the third and fourth ERA leaders, Garrett Cole, who they picked up from Pittsburgh in the offseason, and Charlie Morton, 205 and 226.
In fact, that lousy start by Sale a couple days ago kicked him up from about 2.26 or something to 2.76.
Something like that, exactly.
About half a run.
Yeah, exactly. So,
But no, Sale's the least of my concerns. But again, I'm not totally sold on Red Sox pitching. But hey, a lot of teams would be pretty happy to have their pitching staff, and they're off to a great start.
so, but we mentioned attendance, baseball attendance
Boy,
earlier.
Sedan. Red Sox aren't routinely they're routinely getting, low to maybe mid 30s, but I don't think they're routinely selling out anymore.
Good point. They're selling 91.3
About
of their
what
tickets.
I would have guessed probably.
They're averaging 34,000 and change. The Dodgers always leads baseball,
Yeah.
and I don't know why.
Sounds like a great stadium. I'd love to catch
I've
a game
never
in
been to
Chavez
Chavez.
Ravine.
Yeah.
Sounds like just a really nice baseball
Yeah,
stadium.
they're running off. They're 46,000 a game. Yankees are 41 a game.
Wow.
The St. Louis Cards, good team, not a great team, but that's a great baseball
yeah.
city. I always
Sure.
say use Boston and St. Louis.
Maybe your best.
Yeah,
One of your best.
41,000.
Wow.
The Giants playing around 500, but I think people go to
Great,
that
great
ballpark
stadium. I've been there.
the way people go to Fenway, even if you're not a Red Sox. Just
You got the water. You got the McCovey Cove right over the right field
they're
fence.
39,000, selling 93%, and the Angels having a decent year, 37. The
Have you got the overall baseball average
Do I have the? I think I
for
do.
all teams?
Oh,
I assume
actually,
we got to be talking 20,
well,
like mid 20s
actually,
or so.
I did. If I just look at 15, Texas is 27,000. It's about 27.5
yeah, that
is
sounds about
an
right.
average
about
attendance. The Nationals are a little over 29,000. To defend them, they've had some pretty bad weather in the Atlantic area.
But again, that figure is down, Hawk, you're telling me? That figure is down?
Baseball attendance is down.
Is that right?
And I'm telling you right now, you're probably, and I don't see a lot of people, you're probably the third guy in the last 5 days I've heard say about baseball just is not as fun watching.
That's right, and the
'Cause
strikeouts is a big issue for me.
I saw my twin brother said the same thing. My golf buddy Joe Whittemore said the same thing. And again, I will watch the Nats tonight, and it just isn't the same. And I was telling Joe today, isn't it funny when you used to get a runner at third base, one out, how nervous you would get? And you know what? Half the time, Duke, they're striking the batter out.
Right.
It just
Right, get your bat on the ball. I mean, a ground ball's gonna probably get him in.
Yeah, because I remember, you get a batter up there, and they say he's not a mammoth player, but he's skilled enough to hit the ball to the right side of the infield for a 4-3 out. But he gets that runner in. You did your job.
Really?
And just watching people bunt,
stuff like that.
Watching people bunt now is just
Right.
so.
Yeah, and not just the length of games, but just pitchers taking. That's why I love watching that. If Chris Sale's pitching, I'll try to make a point to watch at least some of his game. I just love gets the ball and pitches. Some of these pitches are just so slow, especially when they get base runners on. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You wonder why young kids who probably have better things to do with maybe not as much of an attention span. I mean, is there one young kid around who's watching a baseball game?
I don't feel that baseball should be tweaking the game. I think radical, drastic changes need to be made.
I think this is from Buster Olney. I heard him on Sports Huddle on the local radio show, very good show, a couple weeks ago. I think he was asked by the folks, what about banning shifts? I mean, I
don't believe in that.
That seems insane. Can't you play your guys?
Right.
But one thing Buster said was, I forget if it was his idea or somebody else, maybe restricting a team, hey, you get 4 pitchers. You can't bring in 6 or 7 pitchers. I mean, I hate to do anything like that, but boy, maybe it's time to think about that.
There's not a night I don't scream at the television set when the shift is on for like a Bryce Harper. Bunt.
Why aren't these guys really? Why aren't these guys doing
now, if you
that?
got runners in position, scoring position, then don't. But you know what? If there's nobody on, I don't care if there's no outs or 2 outs.
Isn't a base hit worth something?
Exactly.
Hawk, I'm saying the same thing.
Yeah, but as I was saying, there needs to be radical change. You and I are going to be dead in 20 years, and the younger generation that is not following baseball. Basic stuff. You have to have and I know baseball is the only sport with no clock. However, you've got to institute a pitcher's clock.
No, golf. You've got to do that. Golf's got no clock.
You've got to keep the batter in the box and allow him one time out. there's just too
I
much
keep hearing
getting out of the
clocks.
box.
There are no clocks now. Don't I hear
Oh,
every
there's-
year
right.
talk about a clock? Aren't they
Right.
doing that in some of the spring training games or certainly minor league games?
Dude, there should be, like, you see the
How
24-second.
about a big clock up there?
Right behind the catcher on the backstop. That way the pitcher visually, and you always see the center field camera view.
Yeah.
That way you as a viewer throw the ball. You mentioned Chris Sale, Doug Fister that pitched briefly with the Sox last
very
year.
good.
He just got it and throw. But the game will not survive without this.
Might be right.
And boy, I'm glad I
You're right.
remember this, and I forgot to note it. Leonard Parent sent me an email about, I was going to say Cal Ripken. 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Cal Raleigh playing for Florida State.
Yeah.
I remember he had a good freshman year, didn't have a good sophomore year, but apparently his junior and senior year went well. And they just won the ACC
That's big time.
tournament this
At
year.
Duke, they played at Duke. The ACC tournament was at Duke.
What was that, Duke?
Great baseball field.
I saw him holding the ACC trophy.
Huh. Oh, really?
In the ironic thing, Duke, he plays for Florida State.
That's big. We're
There's
talking
much
big
more
time baseball.
African Americans in Florida than there are in Vermont.
Yeah, you're right about
I'm looking at that whole
And
picture. Duke.
Nobody on the team.
Not one black player
Really?
on the team.
Is that right?
Okay. Wow. And so
We talk about attendance-wise, no black folks.
Yeah,
Is that right? No blacks. Some Latino player, Latin players, just pretty much look like regular white guys, huh? Interesting.
yeah, and as I said last week, there's 30%, and I'll try to get it more exact. And the other thing too, the June draft is coming up here in a couple of weeks. It's projected that Raleigh will be picked in the third round.
Wow.
98th overall pick by the Chicago Cubs.
Really?
Which,
You're saying
if he's
maybe
a
top
third,
100, huh?
yeah, if he's a third round
Wow.
pick, they're going to
That's
make
great.
sure he gets playing time
I'm
in
sure
the minors.
Leonard. I got to think Leonard's right on top of this.
Yeah.
But good job.
And you look at the Red Sox catching; they have two terrific defenders behind the plate. Not great
Although
hitters.
Vasquez's arm seems to be. Sounds like he's not. He's a good catcher, but he's not He's not getting the ball down to second as much.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
Yeah.
decent catcher.
And Matt Wieters from the Nats went down with bad hamstring injury. We got Pedro Severino hitting around 2 1/4, but he's a great defensive player, can throw.
all.
So all you have to do is play good, solid defense, hit 220,
200,
and you're going to be making $9 million
You're right.
a year.
Oh, you're right about that.
So
That's good. That's great news about Mr. Raleigh.
yeah,
But those guys play a ton. I mean, that's big time baseball down there.
yeah.
Actually, I think the Dukies had their best baseball team in the year. I think they were a top 10 team at times this year.
Now, isn't the College World Series still going on? They haven't crowned a winner yet, have they?
I've been paying some attention to the golf, actually, the NCAA golf teams on the Golf Channel. Yeah, I can't even.
Because it's funny, because they've graduated
I've been seeing a lot of women. I'll come across women's softball, in playoffs, but I'm not sure I've seen the men. Sorry, don't have a handle.
But
on
it's
that.
funny, like school's been out for like 3 weeks for a lot of these schools, and they're still playing ball.
Yeah.
So
anyway, we got Hawks Stanley Cup tonight. That game's about to start. Game 2, back in Vegas, trying to go up 2-0 against the Washington Caps. And big basketball. We finally get down to the finals. Cavs and Warriors.
Well,
tomorrow night. Do you get the Cavs?
oh no, I give them no chance.
Right.
Absolutely no chance. And if Cleveland wins 2 games, that's as best as they can do.
I guess seemingly almost the bigger story almost is what does LeBron do after the series is over?
Yeah. Oh, that'll be the #1 story in all of sports this summer is where is he going? And I really thought the Rockets were going to win on home court the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
again, missing Chris Paul, an ACC guy, Wake Forest guy, huge injury.
Yeah.
With Chris Paul, you kind of think they probably would have won. You never know.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
So no, but like we started the show, so excited with the Celtics.
Great. Believe me, Bobby. I'm not taking a thing. Great, incredible year for the Celtics.
Yeah, and
incredible
as
year.
I mentioned earlier,
And the future does indeed look very
the
bright.
Celtics could make a play for a top 5 pick or top 10 pick here, 10 pick. So
with Danny, hey, you never
Trader
know.
Danny, absolutely. So that is it That will conclude this week's edition of the Best Damn Sport Show in Franklin County. For our studio director, Mr. Zach, my good pal, the Duke, I am the Nighthawk. And always, as always, I should say, always remember this: you don't have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. See you next week.
Yeah.